There are reports that the Bulls could be the third team in the Kevin Durant to Houston Rockets trade, and the Bulls would acquire Jalen Green in the process. Is that a possibility? What would it do for the Bulls? We'll talk about it.
This is your home for all things Chicago Bulls. Join the conversation. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
What is going on, Bulls Nation? So, the rumor mill has started. There are some trades now with Desmond Bane. So, we know Kobe White is not going to the Magic. But the newest rumor for the Bulls is that they could play as the third team. The same goes with the Nets to facilitate the Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets. It makes sense because the Phoenix Suns wouldn't have any use for Jalen Green. I mean, they have Devin Booker, and they're trying to get rid of him, but no one's going to get Bradley Beal. So the last thing they want is an undersized shooting guard. In this case, it's Jalen Green, who's a very interesting player. He's still young, only 23 years old, has tons of potential still. Very super athletic, could score in bunches, but I don't know if we could, chalk him up. I just don't see a team with Jalen Green and Kobe White in the same uniform. It's kind of redundant. Now, what do I think of Jalen Green? He's, like I said, he's a very interesting prospect. He's not a prospect anymore. He's more of a, I don't know if we can call him a finished player, but he's certainly, in his peak. He's going to turn 24 years old. Can slash, very athletic, like I said, could score. You can see that, it's a good body control. Sounds like a guy that we just traded, right? Like, it sounds like a younger Zach LaVine. He's obviously in a more winning situation with Houston, but I don't know if I can chalk up Houston's winning ways to him. I think it's more of an Ime Udoka. We've seen him without Ime, and it's not pretty. It's kind of like Zach LaVine. You can kind of like say a player who puts up good numbers on a bad team, and that kind of gives me the vibe for Jalen Green, and that is why I believe Houston wants to, basically move on from him because they are taking the next step. As far as the Bulls are the perfect team for Jalen Green to blossom because the Bulls they don't have any aspirations to win now. So he could stay there, kind of like what he did with the Rockets in the first few years. Not in a winning situation, but putting up good numbers. Now, as far as the Bulls fan in me, I'm not a big fan of this. I mean, if we can get him for not giving up real value, and by that I mean maybe Vooch, Lonzo Ball, going to Phoenix. I don't see why Phoenix would take that deal. Let's say they would get Jabari Smith. I guess Jabari Smith is going to be the only price there. And then Vooch, maybe Lonzo or Ayo Dosunmu perhaps. And then with the Bulls get Jalen Smith, maybe a couple of second rounders. But as a Bulls fan, I don't know how it's going to work logistically or why the Phoenix would take the players that we would put in place of Jalen Smith. But I wouldn't give up real assets to acquire Jalen Smith. By that, I mean I wouldn't give up a first rounder or, Ayo is even a stretch for me, but I'm willing to do that, I suppose. Because the moment you acquire Jalen Smith, you are going to get rid of Kobe White. And for example, that is the plan anyways, to get rid of Kobe White and to get a shooting guard. Let's say we trade Kobe White for Jonathan Kuminga. So now you got two non-shooters in the team along with Josh Giddey. You got Josh Giddey, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Matas Buzelis, and insert a center there. Very athletic on the wing. You got Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga, but there's not a whole lot of floor spacing there with what the Bulls are trying to accomplish, meaning they want to play faster and they want to shoot volumes of threes. I don't know how that's going to help. Now you got younger, not by much, but because it's not like Kobe White is like 30 years old. He's only, 25 years old, 26. So he's not that much older. Kobe White, ironically, is taller than Jalen Green. Kobe White is a pretty good defender himself. Jalen Green was okay. To be quite honest with you, if I get to choose whether to extend Kobe White or get Jalen Green, I think I'll extend Kobe White. I think his game translates more in the modern NBA, meaning you could stretch the floor, shoot, because Kobe White might not be as athletic, but he can go to the hole if he wants to, and he can also shoot when he wants to. Jalen Green has been a below-average three-point shooter his career. Kobe White can turn it on if he wants to. Plus, Kobe White at this point has a better season than Jalen. Jalen has more success as a team than Kobe White, but that's not an indicative of what players they are. Jalen Green might have a higher ceiling. Let's just put it this way. If somebody can unlock his potential. But we've seen him a full year now with Ime Udoka. And there are certain times where he goes to the bench, so he might be getting the Jonathan Kuminga treatment, where full of potential, super athletic, but are you a winning basketball player on a championship caliber team? That might be the question. And the Bulls are trying to get there. We are done with, I would say, the experiment of like the Zach LaVine back then. We've been there, done that. And that's what reminds me of Jalen Green. Zach LaVine type. Zach LaVine's also taller too. But yes, athletic guys, and Zach LaVine can shoot. Like real shoot the ball. Something that Jalen Green is still trying to navigate throughout his career. I wouldn't hate the trade, but depending on if the Bulls get involved, but depending on who you're going to give up. Like I said, I wouldn't give up a first rounder to get Jalen Green in Kevin Durant, or straight up. I wouldn't even trade Kobe White straight up for Jalen Green. He's making 30-something million. Like I said, I'd rather pay Kobe 30-something million at this point than get Jalen Green. So, but I would love to hear your thoughts. What would you be? There might be a fourth team. This Kobe might be involved, but I don't know. I'd rather, if we are dead set on trading Kobe White, and let's say we don't want to pay him $30 million, and I understand that from the Bulls' perspective. If you are paying Josh Giddey 30, I don't know if you want to invest $60 million in your backcourt, whose peak was like a play-in tournament. If you are gonna dead set on trading Kobe White, I'd rather acquire Jonathan Kuminga for Kobe White and pass on completely with Jalen Green, and maybe put Ayo Dosunmu at 2, or someone else in the shooting guard position. Get it from the free agent, somebody who can stretch the floor or something like that, and have Jonathan Kuminga. So at least you kind of spread your position with Giddey getting a lot of money, and then Kuminga maybe at 25 mil, rather than get Jalen Green for Kobe White. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to the channel.